Once businesses or organizations understand that with technology or with digital solutions, it cuts things half the time and even headcount. You won't even need that much staff at some point. Yeah. The thing, the beauty of the psychology part and your mindset, and especially when it comes to your purpose, that's a part of you that no one can ever take away from you. Then again, I had to go to these people. I'd go to these networking events, which is such an important thing that I wish I could tell so many people about. That going to networking events, corporate networking events, is a great platform for you to share value, meet new people, and create relations from there. To try and divorce traditional marketing and digital marketing, it won't work. The two coexist. What you think is easy to you and is just basic knowledge to you, there are other people that don't know about it.
So I'm very, very excited today to introduce to you today to the show Gofaone Modise. How are you?
And the crowd goes wild.
Yeah.
I'm really excited.
What is up, deep divers? We are back again with some germs. Today we have digital marketing dynamo Gofaone Modise, who is going to show us how to take our businesses and our brands to the next level. But before we get started, kindly subscribe to our channel. We've realized that about 60% of you that watch this content have not yet subscribed, and we want to take that number to 50%. So if you could drop below and subscribe, that will help us greatly. Also, comment below on your biggest takeaways. We always read your comments, and like this video. And if you could share it with one friend, that would be legendary. Without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let's dive deep. You know, I'm so excited about this conversation, and I've been thinking about it so long. You know, it's been a year, so I've had enough time to think about it. But first of all, I want to commend you on this. It's very rare. Like, your energy is just contagious.
And I'm not on drugs.
Everybody here. Huh?
I'm not on drugs. Like,
You're not on drugs.
I'm not, like, it's just me.
It's just you. Like, if you're on drugs, like, I can't even imagine it, you know. And I love it, you know. So, first of all, let's just talk about your journey as Gofaone. Where did you start? You know, how was this something that you thought about? You're like, okay, I want to go into this space.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so I'm Gofaone, like you said, and I'm a social media manager and podcaster now, like yourself, which is really exciting.
I should have said that.
You should have said that. Right?
Yeah.
So anything that is communications and digital, you're more likely to find me there. So how did my journey start? Well, I was broke. I'll start there with the truth. And I had a dream. So there's just something about broke people with a dream, hey?
Yeah.
But fortunately for me, when I finished my high school, I journeyed on the path of purpose quite early. And for some reason, I wanted to be like Oprah, but I didn't want to be her at the same time. So how it all started, funny enough, was me trying to be like someone and finding my path in the way. And when COVID hit, again, interesting enough, that's when the opportunity to become a social media manager came through, where I realized that there were a lot of organizations that were going online, and SMMEs were looking for an opportunity as well.
All of us online, like, there was no other way to do it.
Yeah, so I didn't know you could make a career out of it. I didn't know that in the Western world, they were already social media managers that were getting paid a whole lot more than what I'm getting paid.
Yeah.
And I just started learning it and then got certified in it, because there are plenty of platforms in which you can get certified. And so then, you learn designing, and you just learn this whole world of social media, and it became something I'm very passionate about. Yeah. More than anything, I realized that I was able to communicate with people that I otherwise would not be able to communicate with. I was able to slide through that DM and talk to CEOs and executives, which then birthed my podcast, Conversations with Gofaone.
Elon.
Exactly. Yeah. And I was able to reach out to people who were already on their phones and getting all sorts of pings, and which then later birthed my podcast. So that's how the journey started. And I'm not broke anymore, which is great.
Yeah. They gotta know. Yeah.
It's just been so exciting. And I just feel like I'm not giving you enough.
Yeah.
But that's just it in a nutshell of how I started. And where I am now is just being, with the podcast, going to different corporate events, being part of the media coverage as well, and getting to interview incredible executives and business owners from across Africa and the world. And with social media management as well, learning that there's a space for so many young people, or just people within our country, or just the world in general, to capitalize on social media management. There's a whole lot of pie, and it needs some people to eat.
For sure. A lot of money, eh?
Yeah.
You talked about you finding your journey early. I want to get into that. I really want to get into that, and there's a lot of exciting stuff I want to ask, and I hope we get the time to do. But talk to me about that, how you're able to find your path, because I think there's a lot of, this is something that a lot of people struggle with, just how to find your path, find what you're into, your purpose, find what fires you up. So what was that journey for? Well, what was that journey like for you?
Yeah,
just walk us through that.
It was quite difficult because I've kind of been that A-star student following the academic path. I didn't foresee myself being in business. It wasn't lucrative for me back then. I didn't know why people would want to get in business in the first place if you're not assured of a salary every month.
For sure.
But look at me now. But I had enrolled in the School of Mentorship quite early in my life, and in my late adolescent years. And so what mentorship does is that it really opens your mind up to who you could be.
For sure.
And it draws you closer to not just the potential, but the reality of who you could be. The concept of being a millionaire, the concept of meeting, like I said, I talk about Oprah all the time.
Yeah.
But just concepts that seem so out of grasp become so real to you that it consumes your mind. And Tony Robbins says that for every business owner, it's 80% psychology and 20% skill.
For sure.
So I had to harness a whole lot of that psychology. And the beauty of the psychology part and your mindset, and especially when it comes to your purpose, that's a part of you that no one can ever take away from you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
No matter what.
Exactly. Yeah. So it was just such an interesting journey. It was very difficult as well, especially when it came to academics. And my parents were like, "You're the smart one. Go to school." And I was like, wait. But eventually I did. But it was so important to go through that path of self-discovery, because where I am now, it took so much, but it was like a one-time investment that took a couple of years. But it was a one-time investment with a lifetime of rewards.
Lovely. Talk to me about the mentors. Because everybody's like, I want a mentor, I want to get a mentor, I want to...
They're so excited about it.
Talk to me about the mentor. Because also it's something that I think it's really, really, everybody's talking about it. People have hit me up and like, "Oh, can you mentor me?" I'm like, hey.
Relax.
Yo, guys, take it easy. But talk to me about how you found a mentor. And you're talking about you found a mentor in your adolescent years, which is very key. Because look at anybody that has achieved any amount of success. Usually they start earlier. And then, when they're 20-something, it's like, it's like tada, but they long started. Yeah. And, a mentor really bridges that gap. They really bridge the gap. And it's something that right now, especially in business, having a mentor is like the one of the number one things you can have.
It really is. And whether you're in business, whether you are in the professional space, because I work with a lot of executives in this country, they talk about mentors, they talk about sponsors, which is also very ideal as well. And when you define the mentor part of things...
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. When you talk about the mentor part, it's someone who, because what you're drawn to is either the greatness within that person, you see yourself in that person, or there's a certain attribute or quality that you're like, I want this.
I want that, yeah.
And I'm hungry for it. And you can't really, it's such a soul-to-soul type of connection. So maybe those people who are reaching out to you, they're seeing something within you. And the funny thing about mentorship, and especially us who were actively seeking mentors, is that you're not even just drawn to who that person is currently. You see who they can be. And you see yourself carrying on the legacy of that particular individual. It's such a spiritual
it's intense.
situation.
It's intense,
And going about finding a mentor for me was very easy because my pastor, who then enrolled into coaching as well with John C. Maxwell, Apostle David Grace, then became Coach David Grace.
That's why he's so much on your socials. He's just there. Like every other post, it's him.
We out there. So it was really great for me because having someone within the Christian community was very important for me when it came to things like integrity and trust and knowing who you are, because business can get very dirty as you progress. And then there's something called a sponsor, which you typically hear the term within the professional space or young corporates, where you have someone who will speak on your behalf in rooms that you're not present in. So in the boardroom, let's say there's an opportunity and then they go, but there's this young, driven guy. So you accelerate a bit quicker with the sponsor. And same thing with And
Interesting.
in business, there's people who refer you, so those
Yeah.
are your sponsors. They may not necessarily mentor you at that point.
Yeah.
And the beauty of mentorship is you need to be ready. There's a Sufi quote that says that when the student is ready, the teacher appears. I'm deep. Come answer me. What do you mean?
I don't know why they ain't clapping heads,
But it's a real thing. It's a real thing
for
to
sure,
say that
for sure.
when you're ready to be mentored, all of a sudden all these teachers come and play because maybe your mindset wasn't at the point of being mentored, wasn't ready to hear the harsh truths. And sometimes the thing is with mentorship as well is that it's a two-way street. Okay? I sometimes might not agree with you, and it either might be youth's foolishness or I might be right. So there's just a lot of dynamics when working with human beings.
Do you think somebody can outgrow a mentor?
I think that a mentor desires their mentee to outgrow them, because that's what legacy is. You continue through another person.
Sure.
Anyone who's trying to stump your growth, I'd be questionable about that person. Yeah.
The other thing is also these platforms are forever changing.
Yeah.
The algorithm is forever changing. You think you have it, then tomorrow, boom.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just really a game of just, you have to keep up.
You have to keep
And
up, but
yeah.
not pressure yourself as well. Like, keep up and also understand that people are following because they like you.
Yeah.
They like you and they like your brand, but you have to be consistent.
You have to be consistent.
You have to be consistent. Same thing with Twitter.
Yeah.
You have to be consistent. And obviously this is in a business aspect. If you're doing it for vibes, you can do whatever you want.
Do it whenever,
But on a business, from your business page to your, from your personal brand as well, those two need to correlate. If you want to separate them, it's fine, but you have to be consistent in what you're publishing.
They have to correlate. I like that. And also the part of as you're growing on these platforms, I saw, okay, Instagram changed. You know, they added reels, they added this, they added that.
Yeah.
And I want to talk about reels, but not now. But it's something that I have to say it so that I remember it. And the threads. What are your thoughts on threads?
Well, I'm going to quote Elon Musk, and he said that it has to be a fair fight as long as the other person is innovative.
Yeah.
And that person was not innovative.
Really?
That's what I'll say. And listen, if you Google threads right now, it's the same description as Twitter. It's the Instagram version of Twitter. And so it's really funny.
But it's crazy also. He put a post up. They have now 100 million.
Yeah, on their first
launch,
the first day of launch globally, they had 30 million downloads and people had registered for threads because it was obviously exciting. I mean, the other guy's limiting you, saying 600 tweets with it. This guy's saying, have some fun, go for it. And also it's just a new platform.
It's a new
platform. So exciting. Now the thing is, it's the T's and C's that apply, which I actually took time to actually go through that.
I did too, but I want to hear it from you. Yeah.
It's so funny, not to scare anyone.
Yeah.
But what Mark was saying in the T's and C's is that in order for you to delete your Thread account, you have to delete your Instagram account.
That's the part that scares me.
So he says that you can delete your threads. Saying threads instead of tweets is so funny to me. But you can delete your threads individually. But if you want to delete your whole account on Threads, you're going to have to delete your Instagram account because they're co-joined. Yeah, so one is dependent on the other. So he has your soul, in other words.
Yeah, he
But other than that, it's so funny. A joke amongst digital creators is that, you know, there'll probably be a client who's like, "Where's your Thread strategy?" Like, this thing is new.
Yeah.
And it's, I will say, people shouldn't be discouraged also if maybe they're not getting reactions on their first posts on Threads. It's still fine. It's still new. Just have fun with it. And the people that often benefit are those who jump on
first movers.
Yeah, exactly. So for me, I hadn't joined Threads because I wasn't on Twitter in the first place. So as Gofaone, I didn't, but I find it quite funny. And I think it's also very exciting to see that innovation comes in different ways.
For sure.
Sometimes it's not just copying, but making something better. So we can all learn something.
You never know. You never know. Gofaone, we have talked about so many things, but now I want us to now zero in on the monetization part of social media platforms. There's definitely a lot of ways to monetize on socials. So just walk us through maybe from easiest to hardest, or however you would like to put it.
Yeah. So the initial way of social media monetization, and that was common to a lot of us, was actually influencer, being an influencer. But that came with having a whole lot of followers, and then came the micro influencers, and now anyone can really be an influencer, but the work that comes with it is a lot. So it also comes with, number two, advertising on social media, monetizing it by advertising on social media. And then 3, what I do, being a social media manager. It's and funny enough, also being a trainer, because what you think is easy to you and is just basic knowledge to you, there are other people that don't know about it. And it's just such a beautiful aspect, considering that it's such a crossbreed industry. It goes to various industries, whatever industry you can be specific and say that as a social media manager, I will be, and okay, when you look at social media management, you're thinking, okay, just posting, creating content, designing. Even if you're not a designer, you're probably going to use Canva. And now with the AI ChatGPT, which is my absolute favorite, you're able to kind of...
The consultant.
And it's free for charge. Well, I mean, there's a premium version, but it's really interesting that there's so many different ways of monetizing. And the way you can start when you look into social media management is that, like, as a start, you can look into it as a start to say, okay, this is what it looks like. You can get certification via Facebook's Blueprint, which is a platform where you can learn.
You can get certification.
Yeah, you can get certified there and actually really understand what it is that you're doing. Then you hear terms like being like a digital marketer, digital specialist. Again, you're just dealing with social media. But then you get so broad and you look into YouTube and advertising on YouTube and doing paid media there. That's another one. Paid media basically is using your platform to advertise, or you specialize on boosting. So we call it just boosting, but those who want to do campaigns on social media, you can specialize on that. And it's a little complex if you don't understand what it is. But it's just like having whatever traditional marketing campaign a company would have, they might want to have an online campaign as well. And that's when you start learning things like, your pixels and so on Facebook and other platforms. So yeah, they're just different methods of making money. But like as a start and you're looking for clients, just advertise, do a flyer from Canva and then advertise on your different social media. And I promise you, depending on whatever price range, if you want to start with SMMEs, it's okay. Because you have a lot of big agencies as well that are very wide range in what they do in terms of traditional marketing and very big on digital marketing. But they need someone who's going to take the little videos and the reels. I literally know someone at CNBC Africa. And all she does is take reels and she gets paid good money. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I could do that for you. So whether it's in the creation of content, video format, or design format, whether it's curation, whether it's training people how to utilize social media. So there are different methods and all of them are just different for whoever is interested. Yeah.
And talking about reels, I saw paychecks. It's crazy. Like Instagram is actually paying for reels. And this is something that I've also considered. But obviously, I want us to bring it to our context, Botswana. We know, like right now on YouTube, I don't know if we're monetized or not. Somebody was telling me, and I don't think we are. And I know that you can align yourself with the nearest country that is monetized, and then you make it happen. So talk to us about like those. Let's start with YouTube first. Because I know YouTube you can monetize in many different ways. Yeah. You can even have like affiliate marketing, where you're an affiliate for a company. You can have your own merch store where you So walk us through.
That's so much work, though.
That's a lot of work. Yeah, that's a lot of work.
So those who started early on YouTube in Botswana will tell you that they were getting my 5,000 Fula from YouTube. And then it became a bit concentrated. And now you get, when I was looking at the stats, I think you get paid like a cent for every 100 views. It's terrible. Now, the thing is, and when I had observed it with like our neighboring country, South Africa, they have YouTube ads. We don't. Those YouTube ads are the ones that are paying for the creators, right? So we have a lot of creators, but we don't have businesses and organizations that are willing to advertise on YouTube.
Yeah, that's why.
That's the situation, the disparity we have.
That's true. But I also think even on YouTube, this RPM, I don't know if you're aware with that, like the CPM, cost per million, this RPM, where it basically tells you how much this video is going to charge for every 1,000 views. And typically, finance channels, business channels, let me give you an example. If, say, a business channel is having 30,000 views on a video, maybe they're talking about investing in something, or a finance channel. And then an entertainment channel is probably having like I don't know, a million views or maybe 500,000 views, and it's just cats and freaking pranks and all these things, you'll find that they would make probably the same amount of money because obviously advertisers are paying for the space, and the people that are watching, obviously it's like who talked about it? It was Dumi Lopang actually this last week. He talked about brand equity, and he talked about like if advertisers are the ones that are paying, then obviously it doesn't make sense if they're going to be paying for cat videos, dogs, and funny videos and all that.
Yeah.
But for business and for finance and for investing and that kind of niche tends to do really well. And I've seen a lot of channels, and I'm like, yeah, it's proper.
I think also it's just considering the fact that people look at YouTube as a learning platform for some of us, right?
Yeah.
Free content and free
And
learning
long form
tools.
too.
Exactly. So that's another thing. And then also just considering that it's a very niche audience that they are reaching out to. So those silly prank videos and everything, it has their audience, but most of the time it's really a quality versus quantity basis. So when you know who it is that you're targeting and you're reaching, and you know that they have the buying power, oftentimes it might not, it might not be the most highest number of views in comparison to these other guys. So and then obviously, I often say this when I pitch my podcast to various organizations, that what my podcast does is not necessarily to advertise product, but to advertise company ethos and its values and what it's about, so that people, again, are drawn to the humanized version of that company as opposed to just its product.
So for somebody that's listening to us and still not convinced about getting online and putting their business or their brand or even themselves online, what would you say to them? I mean, do you even have a story? Do you have a story? You probably have a story about the beauty of being online. Solely just being online.
Yeah. So for me, my business is very much tied to my personal brand, which is something I was very intentional with because I knew I'm not naughty, so it's okay. But something that I've noticed is people are really drawn to like I keep saying, to the humanity.
Very true.
So when okay, there was a curiosity, there's often a curiosity about a particular person, then it's, okay, but what is it that you do, by the way? Oh, can I have your service? Oh, I actually need this. So it's something that's so important to understand. And number two, and I often say this to executives, leaders, people of influence, even yourself, is that when you've reached a certain threshold and you've gone beyond it and you've achieved something worthwhile, it is somewhat your duty to share your story, because there's someone who's coming after you and needs to know that you exist. So sometimes we need to place a demand on people's leadership. We need to place a demand on potential. Because so many of us we're floating around not really knowing that there are people that are looking up to us. You know what I mean?
I'm getting the chill when you're saying this.
No, it's such a real thing, because that's how you become accessible, by being online.
Yeah.
You don't need to go to all the events, networking events. You don't need to appear, be a moderator or be moderated rather all the time. You can just share your insights like whenever you can, whether it's on LinkedIn, whether it's on Twitter. Be accessible so that we see that you're a human, so that we know we can reach out to you as well. Because even if there's some people that are not commenting, they're watching.
Yeah.
And it's just so important. If you take yourself seriously, trust and believe that there are other people who are taking yourself seriously. So I'm placing a demand on who you are, your potential, and who you could be. And last thing also is that we need more representation. I can't say enough. I'm so tired of when we talk about Africa.
Yeah.
South Africa, Nigeria, Botswana. Like, it's amazing that we even had, the Forbes Africa here and, this US.
And we use the 2 million something as a crutch also.
You know what I mean?
We do. We do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So we need representation. We need to go out there and to be seen. And the thing is, I go to a lot of awards and these award ceremonies where they appreciate a lot of African entrepreneurs and business owners, even female leaders and so on. But you seldom find Botswana. And let me tell you why. Because you have to nominate yourself. Or have someone nominate you.
Yeah.
And if you're not online, because then they refer to your online presence, and what are they going to find? A post from 2019.
Yeah.
And that's not fair.
Yeah. And also, I think that the fear that people have of posting online is not knowing what to post and how to post. But I think I heard Gary Vee say this, and he talked about it in this way. You don't have to be an expert. Just document your journey. Just document. People will watch from where you started to where you are today, and they'll appreciate the journey. And as you were saying that, you were giving me the chills because you literally almost encapsulated what we do here at Deep Dive. You know, we're trying to impact the mindset of people at scale, you know, by giving them empowering stories. Because the best way to impact culture is through stories. You know, when you hear Gofaone's stories, you're like, Gofaone is just Motswana, just like me.
Yeah.
She lives in Gav just like me. She went to the same schools just like I did. And you start to realize that, you know, it is possible and it can be done. And this is exactly what we're trying to do. I think also, as we wrap up, let's talk about podcasting. Because definitely you have podcast links will be here in the description, everybody. A lot of people have reached out to me, for sure. They've reached out to you also. They want to start a podcast, all that. What would you tell to somebody who wants to start a podcast?
Yeah. I start off saying it's not that deep. Like, it's really, it's really not that deep. And number two is it's know what your niche is. If you are the type that's able to have a conversation by yourself and just go on a rampage, it's fine. Know who you're targeting, what it is that you're trying to achieve. If you're like us, where it's more interview, conversation-based, have that. And what is it that, what are the pillars that you stand on? Like you mentioned your integrity and so on. So these things are so important because they help with longevity. They help with longevity in a sense that you're not going to be stranded when you're like, okay, what do I talk about this time? Because when you know, okay, these are the pillars I stand on, personal development. Oh, who is it that's just on this personal development journey that I can look up? Let me search them now. Also, just figure out how to advertise when it comes to podcasting as well. Oftentimes it starts off with, your little community, your family and everything. I definitely use my personal brand to advertise my podcast and to make it very human. Like I said, I use your Instagram lives, LinkedIn as well. And then when it comes to monetizing it, because I know a lot of people get so excited and they're like, let me monetize. I started monetizing in my 4th season.
And congrats, top 15.
Oh, that was such a
top
moment.
200, I'm like...
Thank you.
I'm like, whoa.
That was such a moment for me. And I will say I'm a little disappointed in myself because I didn't celebrate it.
Why?
I don't know.
Or you just like, yo, let's get back to work.
Yeah, I think, when I'm very honest with myself and reflect, I think that was a pride moment. And I called myself out for that and I should have celebrated that. But yeah, that was absolutely incredible. And whenever I
also
see...
get that. I also get that, like what you're doing. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah. And it's just so important for our stories to be heard as Africans, as Botswana. So if you have a podcast idea, go on, publish it. It doesn't just put it out there because we need a lot of Botswana-based podcasters. And number two, understanding that because some of us, I use Anchor FM to upload my podcast. Now, the thing is, when it comes to things like Anchor and even Spotify, you will see that they'll say your region is a non-monetization region. So even if I do try to have a subscription system, it won't work. I'm not going to get paid.
Yeah.
So it's also important. So we see the innovators standing up and say, hey, I will create a platform specific for Africans or Botswana so that they can publish on our platform and get paid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I also think to that degree, we can get paid, but not directly. And there's also creative ways of it because even in my own situation, I've been in rooms where I was not supposed to be just because, people saw a video of me or just when I walked in, they were like, that's the podcast guy. And it opens so many doors.
Paul, I say this whenever I'm pitching and anyone can steal this. It's to say that, guys, you can use podcasting as a tool of marketing.
Everywhere.
It's a brilliant marketing tool if you want to get yourself out there and connect with people. And anyone who's willing, those organizations or businesses that are willing to jump on that while it's still hot and fresh, go for it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, sadly, I have to ask you the last question. How do you want to be remembered as Gofaone?
As Oprah's bestie, Obama's best friend as well. I'm kidding. I want to be remembered as someone who lights up a room and makes people see themselves through me.
Was that rehearsed?
It's deep. It's deep within my oblongata.
For sure.
It's the thing I really believe in. And I hope that anyone who's watching this, and I've gotten a few comments regarding me, because I'm quite soft in nature,
Yeah.
is that, oh wow, we didn't think that soft people could make it too, and you can. It's just all that, like you said earlier, about being authentic to who you are.
For sure.
And that's what will cause longevity, because that's the part of you that people can't take away.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. We really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Deep Dive is dedicated to bringing you the most comprehensive and engaging information about business, personal finance, and personal development. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. If you liked this video, give it a like to show your support and help us reach a wider audience. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family who may be interested. Sharing helps us grow our community and connect with like-minded individuals. Leave a comment below and give us your biggest takeaway on this episode. If you're interested in being a part of our live studio audiences, make sure to register for the next show. Can't make it to the show? No problem. Check out our Patreon page to watch the full episode and get exclusive access to more great content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Deep Dive.